I've been working on having more patience. I've been working on being more gracious. Can't kill myself for the time I wasted. Learn lessons come with elevation. I've been working on having more patience. I've been working on being more gracious. Can't kill myself for the time I wasted. Learn lessons come with elevation. I'm on a mission to achieve some greatness.
Hello there. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? How you doing?
I'm good. Blessed. Ready for the holiday season? Well, the holiday tomorrow.
Yeah,
You
I'm
ready?
I'm just gonna stay home and relax. I have
Okay.
nothing planned.
Yeah. Same here. Just cook a little something and relax. Yes.
Right.
It's that kind of
So
day.
before we get started, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the Lived Experience episode 6. I have Miss Tracy McKinney on
Yes.
the view with us. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, Miss Tracy?
Yes, my name is Tracy McKinney, also known as the turnaround coach, entrepreneur, author, and mother, and just on fire for God and on fire for helping others. Just all around, I just aspire to help others, just how someone helped me. Also, founder and owner of She Found Her brand. So, and Colorism No More. So I think that about covers it, and a grandmother.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight's topic is holistic leadership.
Mm.
Um, so when I think of holistic leadership, I think of an individual having to be whole,
Mm-hmm.
and not one will never be perfect, but in most
Right.
areas of life. So you may not be perfect in your finances, but you at least know how to budget. You
Mm-hmm.
may not be as spiritual as you need to be, but you know how to pray and seek God. You may not be as
Yes.
mentally stable as you need to be, but you have done what you need to do to seek and find help and things of
Yes.
that nature. So when I think of holistic, I think of one being whole. What about you?
The same, pretty much the same. When I think of holistic, I think of putting in the work to become whole. I think a lot of people think you can do something one time or go to therapy for 3 or 4 months and you're done. But it's a continual daily process, and
Yeah.
you can't be afraid to do it. You can't be afraid because becoming whole is really digging up some stuff, and it's really
Hmm.
searching and finding out who you really are. But I think if people understand how healthy it is and how
Yeah.
much better you will feel, how much you will show up in the world completely transformed, how much it will help you, I think more people will be open to becoming that holistic leader, just being whole all the way around. And leader is a whole nother, you know, that's a whole nother spectrum, right? Because we have a
Yeah.
lot of unhealed leaders.
Hmm.
So how can I lead if I don't fix me? How can I lead you? So
So
it's very
what are some things you do to decide whether or not you feel as if a leader is whole?
It'll come out one way or the other. So I've seen it come out like if you have someone that reacts, and is triggered by certain things,
Hmm.
small things, but
Yeah.
constantly the manipulation. I've seen this, I've experienced this, right? And
Yeah.
manipulation, or playing with the mind, which is another part of manipulation. Then you'll see, according to some of their reactions, okay, they have some work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I recognize it because I used to be that. I saw myself as triggered, or jumping out, because it's unhealed, it's unresolved residue there. So I've seen that before. And, I've even sat down with an individual leader and just, with love, with pure love from my heart, saying that you have to really seek God more, and ask for healing. and whoever God leads you to therapy, whatever, to really do the work so that you can lead the people. The people will follow. They want to. But when you backlash at them, then you run them away. You push them away.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
And I I know it's a little sad, but I think one of the
Mhm.
primary places that we find leaders that are not whole in the way that they should be is the church.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
because I feel
Unfortunately,
like
it's very true.
because
Yeah.
the ultimate leader that the church should be trying to emulate should be
Hmm.
Jesus. And
Yes.
Jesus was a servant leader. He
Mm.
allowed people, he served his people. Like he
Yes.
literally lowered himself to wash the feet of the apostles. And it's
Hmm.
crazy, like so many leaders in the church, they take that position and they've created a hierarchy and put
Yes.
themselves at the top.
Yes.
So now it's I'm the leader and you serve me, and everything is coming from the bottom up. So
Yes.
it's I think we need to reevaluate, and I think we have to be honest with who we are following. I
Yes.
think that if you can identify that the person that you are following is not necessarily whole, and don't
Right.
get me wrong, again, no one is perfect, but
Right.
once you've made that identification, you can decide whether that person is honest about not being whole and working
Mhm.
towards getting better. And if they are not, then you need to be finding somewhere else to learn from.
Yes. So true. So true. And just like you said, being honest. You can be honest about where you're at. Like you can say, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? And people
Hmm.
will support you in that. But it's when you pretend that nothing is
Yeah.
wrong, when you act as if you're the perfect one and you have no flaws and there's something wrong with everybody else. That's when it becomes an issue. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I've
Yeah.
even experienced in church where the pastor was like, why are you, going to God? Come to me and bring, so I can go to God for you. And I was like, no, I have my own relationship with God, and I
Yes.
think a lot of that is going on. And people are, especially babes in Christ who don't know who are searching for answers and are being,
Hmm.
that's the part that saddens me the most, who are searching for answers and
Yeah.
searching for that relationship with God. And they think they have to go through someone else to get that. And that's just not who God is. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Not the
It,
case.
it's besides this is me going off on a little tangent,
Okay.
but besides church being a business,
Hmm.
it also is a place where people become submissive to the tradition,
Yes.
and a
Oh,
lot of the traditions aren't Bible based,
yeah.
but they feel good to the leader's ego, so they keep them in place.
Mm,
um yeah, that's a whole nother
yes. Woo.
live, but
Yes, it
I,
is.
I I think one of the
Woo.
main things that you should be looking for in a leader is vulnerability. As a
Mhm.
leader, I
Yeah.
am not afraid to say that I am working on this, because as a leader, I
Yes.
understand that me being vulnerable is someone else's healing.
Mhm.
I understand
Yes.
that me being open about what I am going through helps people that are looking at me that are going through the same exact thing. And
Yes.
I'm not prideful to the point where I need to hold myself in by myself, and I can't let
Ooh.
anybody in. Nobody knows what's actually going in. All they see is me on this
Yeah.
pedestal that they've put me on in their head, because all they see is the perfected me.
My
So
God.
the
Wow.
the vulnerability is something that I look for when
Yeah.
looking for a leader, and
Yeah.
something that I want to practice as I become a leader.
Exactly. And that part, because I
Mhm.
am walking into more of in the ministry realm, and my prayer is, God, if I'm not right, strip it all away. I
Yeah,
don't want anything to get to my head where I'm fascinated by titles or anything. Strip it away. If I'm not humble and if I'm not honest with integrity, strip it away. And I
yeah,
think you know it's very sad, because the times we're living in now, people are losing their minds. They're looking for honest,
Mhm.
authentic leaders. They are looking
Yeah.
for that. It is so needed. So it is important, and I know you're a genuine brother, and I know that's important for you to show up for other men, women, what have you. It's
Absolutely.
very important. It's important to keep doing the work. And even while you're doing the work, it doesn't mean everything will be perfect. There will be attacks, because the more you're trying to help somebody else, then the attacks can come on you, right? So
Hmm.
you gotta still make sure that you do the work to remain whole and to keep being solid while all of this is happening. Because
Yeah.
it's not going to be perfect, like you said, but you got to keep doing the work to make sure that you stay rooted and stay,
Yeah.
your mental is good,
I think being a leader is a test to one's integrity,
Yes.
and it exposes a lot. It's that spotlight because,
Ooh,
again, you have gone and said that I am willing to be on this pedestal.
yes. Oh,
So
wow.
I'm up here.
Yeah.
I'm
Ooh,
willing to do what needs to be done, but
Jesus.
in the dark, it's what's
Oh,
done in the dark that a lot of leaders have trouble with because they don't think it'll
yeah,
come to the light. But
exactly.
as time and history has shown, what is done has come to the light.
Yes.
So we have these leaders with low integrity,
Oh,
and they are allowed to have that low integrity because they have such a cult following. And I think
yeah.
that is the problem. One should never be too blind to seek leadership. Like, I personally don't feel as if one should be striving to always have someone above them.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I
Okay.
believe that, you know, as a leader, it's great. And I think it goes back to being a servant leader. If I am
Okay.
serving, I am also serving by example. I don't need,
Yeah.
once you have shown me the example,
Okay.
I can now take that and multiply it. But I think too many people, they are not showing the example
Yeah.
in being a leader. They are just keeping whatever knowledge
Oh,
and wisdom that they have for themselves and their close friends, and they don't multiply it.
Jesus. Wow. That is good. Yeah, I guarantee you that's the case in most aspects. It's crazy because but a lot of them are even being exposed now.
Yeah.
A lot watching the YouTube and the news now, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my God, it's amazing that what's amazing to me, that people will play with God like that. That
Yeah.
you will commit your life to God and you'll play with him. I'm too scared to play with him. I don't understand how people do it so with ease, how it just naturally deceptive. I don't understand it. I
Yeah.
don't understand it. When I was in the world and I would even get approached by strangers like God has a calling in your life, I knew I wasn't ready for that. And I was like, nah, not yet, not yet, God. And it wasn't because I honored him enough to not be a fool and still, you know what I'm saying, sit up under him
Yeah.
or another leader and say, yeah, I honor God too much for that. So I just rather y'all, I'm gonna stay out here, but I'll be
Yeah.
there soon. You know what I mean? I would rather do
Hmm.
that than to submit and then just be a complete fool and then lead his people astray.
Hmm.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
And just taking like a pivot, it's
Mhm.
one needs to be whole,
Yeah.
especially as a man, and even for women,
Mm-hmm.
to lead a household and to raise children. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Women say this all the time: men are not men
Mhm.
anymore. Because men
Wow.
back in the day, they were more decisive, they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
crazy because we have a generation of men
Mhm.
that are more emotional,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with being in tune with your emotions. But if you're
Exactly.
going to be the leader, you cannot lead from a emotional place. And that's the
Mm.
part that a lot of men have not mastered, and that's not even being talked about a lot. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Oof. Wow.
which in turn it discourages women
Yeah.
from to come to us.
Yeah. Yes, yes. But do you think a lot of it is, again, it's unhealed trauma and you were
Hmm.
taught to be quiet, to not deal with it, and
Yeah.
man up. So what do you do with that? Now I'm expected to show up in the world as this, productive citizen, but I have not been taught how to process my emotions. I have not been taught how to process my trauma. I've been taught to just suppress everything. So now
Hmm.
I'm supposed to be this productive citizen and this
Yeah.
healthy whole citizen, but nobody taught me how. And I think
Yeah.
that's a huge issue. So I don't blame the men for what they were dealt. A lot of them just came right into adulthood and just had to suppress all of that hurt and trauma. And now I want to get married, but all of this stuff is still there.
And
you know?
like, don't get me wrong, I understand that standpoint,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
because I am one of
I'm a
those men,
man. Okay.
it doesn't negate the effect that once you realize
Yeah.
this is not right, this is not working,
Right.
that you have to then take accountability for your current actions and all previous actions to make what needs to be right. So I think
Yeah.
that uh, what happens is we turn 18, you get the stamp,
Hmm.
you're a man, and the truth is
Yeah.
you're the age of a man with the mind of a
Yeah.
boy. So now
Oh,
you're getting
wow.
married. You're getting married, and now your mind has to catch up to the
Oh,
age of the man that you should be. And it's crazy because just a bit of vulnerability on my part. I've been
mhm.
married for 6 years now, going on 7. And
Okay.
I tell my wife consistently that I wish I was the man now that
Mm,
I back then.
right. Oh, my God.
And that's a hard place to be in because as a leader, there are certain things that my wife has struggled with me through that she should not
Yeah.
have had to had
Right.
I been properly mentored and
Hmm.
fathered.
Yeah.
Like nothing against my father, he's great.
Yeah.
But
I
there are certain things that I did not learn
right.
that I should have,
Mm,
that my wife had. I tell people, when I talk intimately to people, I tell them that I've never had to mature as much as I did until I
wow.
became married.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
I didn't have to step into manhood until I
Right.
got married. Because
Right. Wow.
even when we're engaged, we're living in separate houses. Your money's your
Yeah.
money, my money's still my money.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
now that we come together, we're married, everything is everything.
Yeah.
So I had to learn a lot of hard life lessons
Okay.
that
Okay.
should have been spread out over 18 years in
Mm,
6.
wow. Wow. But I commend you for still even doing it. Now,
Hmm.
there's a lot of, and there's even men personally that I know that are older
Yeah.
that just keep sitting in what happened 20 and 30 years ago. They're
Hmm.
sitting in it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've seen a lot of. And
Hmm.
so, that's commendable that you said, no, my wife is important enough for me to walk into manhood and do it the
Yeah.
right way. Even if it took 6 years and you're constantly learning, you still made the choice to do that.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of men doing that.
Yeah.
It's not. They're still sitting in what happened when they were a little boy. And so that's why, even just like the young man who said, how do I go to therapy without being ridiculed by my family? There's a
Yeah.
lot of that out there, and I couldn't even go to sleep without, I kept thinking about that. Like, I can't ignore this comment, even if he doesn't follow through, I'm still going to connect them with somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's because it's so much of that. So it's like, no, I'm a man, I got to stay tough. And I see it
Hmm.
so much, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that part, I think you think it's a pride thing or just
So it's crazy because it's a pride thing and it's an insecurity thing at the same time.
oh,
Like
wow.
I'm too prideful to seek help, and I'm
Yeah.
too insecure to receive it. So
Jeez.
that's what it
Wow.
becomes. Yeah.
That's and so you just keep living like that, then you end up in regret of why didn't I get help
Hmm.
again. To me, and that's when I say that's why I'm so heavy on so you're not important to yourself. More importantly, your children or your family. Like, but what about you? When are you gonna love you enough? So I think some people just don't feel worthy, or they deserve it, or they don't feel they deserve God's love, and that's just and it's so prevalent in the African American households and community, and that's what is heartbreaking. Like you said, that's what's so heartbreaking about it, because a lot of people I know have been taught to just be quiet.
Yeah. I'll even go as far as to say this, that even women, it's crazy because, you know, the Bible, it's God, the husband, and the wife.
Yeah.
And then the children.
Yes.
And what we don't speak on enough is the fact that the woman is also a leader. Because she is the one that usually 9 times out of 10 that takes charge in imparting her wisdom and her heart into those children. And that does not get enough credit.
Yeah, in spite of everything she's gone through.
Yes.
Because women have, you know, men think they have battles. Women have had some, you know what I mean? And some major battles and still have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't get to just lie down and say, we don't. So,
and but I think that's where the importance of partnership comes into play.
Yeah.
Like, even when you're a leader, you should still be striving to make connections.
Right.
Like, as a man, I need to strive and I need to be around men that are better than me or on the same level and striving to be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And too many times, I can only speak for the man part.
Yeah.
But too many times we get caught up in wanting to be cool. We get caught up in wanting to have sex. We get caught up in the pride of having nice things, the material things, when it doesn't fit our bank account at the moment. You know, we don't understand that these things come when you're aligned on the path that you were designed to be on.
Yeah. Yes. My God. I call all of that what you said a performance. When we're too busy putting on a performance, but we're dying on the inside.
Yeah.
Because we really, you know, we're putting a performance on and masking all the pain with material things. Yeah. Instead of really loving yourself enough to say, let me do the work and find out who I am. I just really want people to experience that. You know what I mean? That healed feeling, that whole feeling. It just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. The process may be difficult, but the outcome is beautiful.
And it's crazy. Like, the process doesn't become necessarily easier.
Right. Exactly.
But you learn to manage the stressors better.
Yes. Exactly.
But you can only get those skills once you get those who are qualified to help you.
Yes. So true. You will definitely handle those stresses completely different. It's like at first you're handling them with closed eyes, and then your eyes are open because you're taking the steps to heal. And now I'm looking at it with a completely different set of eyes. So I can handle it better. I don't break down. I'm not worried like, oh, it's the end of the world. No. Okay. This too shall pass. This, I will be okay. I will survive this. I survive that. I will keep going, you know, and we do have to get to that place. So I love what you're doing, you know, to even help people do that. And that's why I'm, you know, in the process of moving back closer towards Chicago, because that's what, you know, it's a lot of work to be done, a lot of work to be done. So however God can use me I'm just like, have your way, God.
I think that, well, what do you think as far as the holistic leader being a woman? What do you feel that entails?
I feel that to really lead somebody, you have to walk the journey with them. I don't think you can just, so I'm about to be an ordained evangelist. That means I'm walking with them. I'm walking with them. I'm taking the journey with them. I'm not just, you know, speaking to them and forgetting about them. It really means, you know, showing that you care, really putting your heart into it and letting God lead you. You know, you can't save everybody, but it really means committing to that process. That's why I said, if I'm not committed to it, strip it away from me. You know, I ran from this call for years. So And now I felt that I'm ready for it, so I accepted the call, and now that means I know a lot is going to come with it. A lot is going to come with it, but
Mhm.
it means not giving up on them, and removing you out of the way and not making it about you. It
Yeah.
can't be about you. Placing yourself in other people's pain and really understanding, and helping them come out of it. You really have to put in the work. You have to.
So, what are some of the obstacles that
Mm-hmm.
you feel women leaders have to navigate?
Mainly, I think building trust. I
Mhm.
think that's number one because of what people have experienced so much of distrust and manipulation and, dishonesty, just constant letdown. And I
Yeah.
think it's finding a safe space. I can't
Mhm.
heal and be whole if I don't trust you and if I don't feel safe. Are you gonna get mad at me and throw this in my face and use this against me? Are you,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think creating a safe space, a genuine safe space
Mhm.
is so important. It's so important because I know a lot of women personally who have gone through some things. I don't know if some people could even walk in those shoes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So but even just the little circle I'm in, we create a safe space.
Mhm.
It's a safe space to bear, be bare, open, and you have to. It's important. It's important, like you said, and keep the integrity.
I think one of the common denominators
Mm-hmm.
throughout each episode that I've said is you have to find a community
Oh yes. Oh
that is willing to
yeah.
be there,
Absolutely.
not only hold you and comfort
Yeah.
you when you're down, but to hold you
Yes.
accountable when you're up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I, I'm a big fan of accountability. Like I have my brothers, and they don't let me slide.
Come on. Come on.
Like
Yes.
I'll be venting to them, and they're just like, "You
Mm-hmm.
were wrong." Like, what are you talking about? How can I be wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have that circle of
Mhm.
accountability where, and I honor that because, yeah, I want to be right too, but I love it when you don't agree with me just to agree with me. I love
Yeah.
it when you call me out and hold me accountable and say, no, you weren't supposed to do it like this, or you should have handled it this way,
Yeah.
and that's what I also aspire to do with the She Found Her community, is to
Okay.
create that safe space. So, and to have the conferences and the different events to create the space, for women to feel safe and to really, share who they are and to. But that's just what's so important. If you just could see everything that's going in the world, that's if you don't have a safe space,
Hmm.
because it could be one person in the community that can tear it down. And
Yes.
that's the problem. It's so much of that going on. So I think, even you have the community, but I think with women, I don't know if a lot of this going with men, you have
Mm.
to have small groups. You can't, or even one-on-ones.
Because
Yeah,
it's hard to find a large group of authentic people.
that part. That part.
And one thing that hurt me and that I had to learn the hard way is
Hmm.
just because we grew up together
Oh,
doesn't mean that you have my best interests at hand.
exactly.
Like I lost one of my best friends because
Wow.
he did some really underhanded things,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What you did?" And it was crazy because before he did what he did, God showed
Mhm.
me the signs that he
Wow.
should not have been in my life, and I was like,
Jesus.
I'm gonna just hold on to him because he's my friend. And it's crazy because my wife asked me, she's like, "Why do you keep forgiving him?"
My
And I was like,
God.
"Oh, you didn't mean it like that."
Right, right.
And my wife, she's like, I've given you the warning. God's given you the warning. He showed you the signs." And she just took her hands off of it. And
Yeah.
she was like, and when I told her what happened, she was like,
Okay.
"I'm not surprised. I saw
Wow. Wow.
it."
Wow.
So
The more you walk into this, the more, don't be surprised if there's more shifts. Because when I say They've been shifting and falling,
Yeah.
and it hurts, especially when you're close with somebody for so long. It hurts, like you said. I'm just like that. I was like, let me hang on to them. It's okay, they'll turn around. They'll, and it's amazing because I was talking with a pastor and I was like, wow, none of them could tell you that I did anything wrong to them. Like, I would love to tell me what I did to you. And they couldn't say it. You know what I mean?
But they would say something, they just wouldn't be telling the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like they gonna say something, it's just not gonna be the truth.
No, what they'll tell is your reaction to their action. That's what I've experienced that. But I was just prophesied to 2 nights ago that said there's about to be another shift in your circle. And I was like, huh? What again? And she said not necessarily people will be completely removed this time around because he did that already. She said, but it will be different. And I was like, yeah, it's a painful process because you want to help and you want to love everybody. But where you're going and where God has taken you, and they can't go with you.
And I think one of the most important things is you lead by example.
Yeah.
It is, your legacy is your child.
Yes.
And anything about children, they are going to do what you do, not what you tell them to do.
Yes.
So you lead by example.
Yes.
And you hold that baby close, and you with everything you have, you dig your feet in and you grunt your teeth, and no matter how hard it gets, you do what is right by that child.
Yeah.
Because your life is no longer for you. It's for the child. Whatever you're birthing, you do what needs to be done for that baby.
Yeah. My God, that's good. That's so true though. So very true. So, and while you're doing that, some people just won't understand your journey. And that's what it took me a while to get to this point too. I was like, your wife is telling you, listen, you don't trust them. And I was like people telling me, how many times you got to get knocked upside the head? And I'm like, because it hurts. But what I'm noticing is that, oh, now I understand why you did that, God. Now I understand. Like, it wasn't to say that you're better than anybody else or to be evil. It's just that this is where you're taking me. And I shouldn't try to make somebody else understand the vision you gave me because you didn't give it to them. You gave it to me. So it's my vision. So I can't try and make somebody else see what you got for me, what you have for me. You know what I mean? And I think it's hard. See, and this is a part of also dealing with all of this and staying whole because we have to deal with all of that. We have to deal with all that. Like, and you really gotta, wow.
And it gets a little deeper because even once you've reached a certain level, you now need to seek help for the level that you're at now. So you never are done looking for help.
Never.
So one thing that I've learned is that I don't want to be the smartest in my friend group. I don't want to be the most financially set in my friend group. I want to be around those that are higher than myself.
Yes.
I'm like, I told my wife the other day, I was like, if my mentor is a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire.
That part. Yes.
So, you surround yourself with people that you were going to look like.
Yes.
And it's like, it's nothing against those that are left behind.
Right.
It's like, I didn't leave you behind out of any form of malice. It's more the fact that I care enough for myself, my family, and my future that I had to keep trekking forward.
Yes.
And I apologize if your feelings are hurt. Yes. But I cannot sacrifice my future for your feelings.
Exactly. It's because it's not a personal attack against them. It's what you were called to do. And I think that that's when you really know you're not a friend. If you feel that is something wrong with me elevating to my next. If you are offended by that, then you were never meant to be in my life in the first place. And I cannot stop. Like you said, you're doing it for your family. So you want me to climb up and you decide that you're going to stay down here and you want me to come back down here with you to appease you.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that.
And like you said, it's God gave you the vision.
Yes.
So because God gave me the vision, my goal is to keep my eyes set upon God.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
no time to look away.
Ooh,
I don't have time to take my eyes off God because that's
yes.
where I'm going.
That's it.
So anybody else's opinion does not matter.
It
And I
doesn't.
think as a
Then you're
leader,
telling me
you
to
have
live for
to,
you. Because if
yeah,
if I'm worried about your opinion, that means you're telling me to live for you and not for my Lord and Savior, not for my Creator.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
like, yeah, even though you're following my example is the standard for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the standard for myself is something that you decided within yourself that you wanted to emulate. I am not responsible for your feelings.
My God. My
Yeah.
God. My God. Because if they tapped into God, then he might have a whole nother plan for them. But I want to emulate you. You don't, but how about tap in and see what God has for you? Like I had a situation where somebody was using every word that I used in whatever I was posting. And I was just like, then you're not doing what God says. You're emulating and you're searching all on the internet and seeing who's doing what, and you're pulling from everybody. So you're still not being your true self. You're still not living your true purpose because you're too busy tapping in the social media world and not to what God has for you. You know,
Right.
so it's false identity. Yeah. Woo.
And I want to thank you, Miss Tracy. We are a little over time, but
yes, it's fine.
I think it was too good to cut short. Are there any words you want to leave the people with?
I always leave people with choose you. Again, you have to be so important to yourself that you choose you, become whole, do the work. And I'm sure you have family, you may have children, grandchildren, or what have you, but it's so important for you to show up for yourself. And then they can emulate you because you're walking in a holistic as a holistic leader. You're whole, you're healed, and it's just a beautiful feeling. So I just implore you to always choose you first and watch what God and choose God. I'm sorry, and watch what He'll do. Watch what He'll do.
That is awesome.
Yes.
And where can everyone find you? I think that She Found Her will be great for a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have the She Found Her Facebook group, and then I on social media is Miss Tracy McKinney on Instagram, Tracy McKinney on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the same. And yeah, then again, it's the She Found Her group. So yeah, we would love to have you. We are, planning a lot of things. The first She Found Her conference is 9/23/23. So we're doing things where we really want to reach out, and I don't want to reach and empower women. I want to help women heal and whole, because you got to do that before you can be empowered. So yeah.
And would you be willing to put the She Found Her Facebook group link in the video?
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming. We appreciate everything you've done.
So much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too.